I just left the Eudora Welty Library within the last 30 minutes, and I've accumulated stopped up sinus just in 30 minutes of being there, and that's what we're going to talk about for a second. So, is this it, Donna?
Yes, sir, to my knowledge.
Okay. AP probably didn't think this was important. We've got a short statement, and the statement's very short, and then I'll tell you about a letter and a conversation I had with the mayor yesterday. But basically, on October the 4th, yesterday, the State Fire Marshal's Office, in the interest of public safety, conducted a fire and life safety inspection of the Eudora Welty Library. Numerous life safety conditions and violations of the Mississippi Fire Code and Prevention Code were found, and as a result, beginning at 5 o'clock today, October the 5th, 2017, the Eudora Welty Library in Jackson, Mississippi will be closed to the public until the violations and conditions are corrected. The State Fire Marshal's Office, of which I am the State Fire Marshal, by virtue of my office as Insurance Commissioner, is committed to working with the city and county officials to resolve this matter as quickly as possible while protecting the health and safety of the public. Now, yesterday I did have a conversation with Mayor Lamumba, and I sent him a letter today. It's been hand-delivered to his office, and informed him that under our statutory authority under 4511-101B and 4511-109, I regretted to inform him that the State Fire Marshal's Office will be closing the Eudora Welty Library to the public at 5 p.m. today, October the 5th, 2017, and that the library would remain closed to the public until said violations and conditions are corrected. And should the library remain open, we would leave it open to the employees of the library as they see fit, and the required personnel for the EOC. As many of you may know, in the Jackson area, the Emergency Operations Center for Hinds County in Jackson, Mississippi, are located in the Eudora Welty Library in the basement. They're in very hazardous conditions, and you will find at the report we're going to give you that the sprinkler system, that this is all I really need to say under my authority. There's no sprinkler system in that building that works at the present time. We found a violation of the phone line to the fire department had been cut, and thank to Ms. Patty Furr, the director of the library, who has worked tirelessly to try to remedy some of the problems here, and I'm going to give her a minute to talk. She got it reconnected within the last 7 or 8 days. AT&T was glad to come in and fix it for us. But the other problem is that there's no key for the fire department to get into the building in case there's a fire, and if the EOC people that work there at night are locked in and there's a fire, no one can get to them. The other issue that we have, and this is not all in the letter, but we have up to 25 autistic children that will be there today, and this is the reason we waited for 5 o'clock to meet there on the first floor for classes. And I just can't imagine what would happen if that building top fell in. It's like a sandwich. The top floor is heavy with books that have been wet. The building is not designed for the type of weight that books would put on per square inch of the flooring. If that floor fell in and killed 25 or 30 children, I don't think I could sleep at night ever again. It's a problem that we need to correct. Unfortunately, the only person that seems to have any authority to close the library and try to bring some semblance of remediation to the problem is the State Fire Marshal, and I'm exercising that authority. I will tell you that the State Health Department, at our request, did inspect the building this morning and this afternoon. They do not have authority to close the building, and neither does the DEQ, the Department of Environmental Quality. And I cannot speak for the city of Jackson. When I talked with the mayor, it was a very nice conversation, and we hope that we can all work together to remedy the problems. With that, I would like to let Ms. Patty Furr, the director of the library here.
Mr. Chaney, can I ask you first?
Sure.
What prompted your office to inspect the building?
Well, we've had numerous public complaints. We've had a lot of reports on local news about the problem, and I will tell you personally, I take responsibility for asking the fire marshals to go in and inspect. I knew that when I sent Mr. Malley in, who is with us today, he's our building inspector for the state of Mississippi, that we would probably have to close the library, and I knew with regret that when I sent him in what was going to happen. And it's taken us a day and a half to plan how we can logically close it down and not affect all the citizens in the city of Jackson. But we knew what was coming off, and I take full responsibility as that for our state fire marshal and insurance commissioner. Rob's out, and what else can I say?
Well, I'm just asking, I'm not trying to point
Well, you know, you
fingers.
go up on the roof of this building, they put a new roof on it in 2015 after the hailstorm of 14. It's got bubbles in it. You've got leaks all over the roof. It's like a big swimming pool every time it rains, and it comes right down into the library. Now, you tell me who inspected that roof after it was put in. I don't have authority to do that, but somebody does, and somebody ought to be held accountable for what they did. And I don't want to be too emphatic about it, but there are a lot of problems. That's not a fire issue. The fire issue is that there's no sprinkler system, and I can close it down for that. And just fixing the sprinkler system is not going to get it back open. I want to send that message to you also. So, Patty, I'll take questions after she talks.
Thank you. It is a sad day when a library is closed, but I've been concerned about this library and the health of my employees and the health of the public for some time. Some of you may know that the new roof has been a disaster. It has leaked just unwittingly in the building. We're having to move our administrative headquarters out of the building because of the high levels of mold in our administrative offices. I have 5 people who are very sick and under medical treatment, and we hope we'll be better when we move to our temporary headquarters. But the building, which consists of the library and the top 2 floors, and the EOC and some City of Jackson offices in the bottom, in the basement, all needs to be inspected and repaired. I can only do so much. I've done everything I can to bring modern computers and to make the library beautiful upstairs. But if our foundation is a problem, and it is, and the roof is such a problem that the water is pouring down the walls and creating mold, then somebody needs to help with this building. And if the building cannot be fixed, then maybe it's time for a new downtown library.
So with the sprinkler system and the phone lines, those are really small issues here. The real issue is the whole integrity of the building could collapse
Well,
with the
I'm not an
roof?
architect, and I will say that the fire alarm was a little bit of wire that was crushed, and it's already been fixed. When I came, there was no fire alarm, no emergency lighting, and no security system. So we've added these things, but there are problems because of the roof and the water that has leaked down the walls for such a long time. There are problems with the basement, with the sewer pumps that are 80 years old, and one of them has been pulled, and there's raw sewage in the basement. It's really a lot of problems in a building that's 80 years old. It would be my recommendation, Eudora Welty was a wonderful writer, and I'd like to see a real Eudora Welty Library downtown. I'd like to see a new building that would be more worthy of the writer. As it is, I've done as much as I can, but I can't fix the problems that we have.
How do you turn away all these people who use that library on a daily basis?
I've asked myself that all day long. These are people that we welcome every day, and it means everything to them, and they're going to be really, really sad.
Patty, where's the new headquarters at?
It's on 1675 Lakeland Boulevard in the Regions Bank building.
And what will happen to the staff that is there? Will they be moved there as well?
Yesterday, we began moving all our public services staff, assigning them to the libraries. Thankfully, we still have 13 open libraries that we can assign them for, and our libraries are always busy. So I can tell you the branch managers are pretty happy to have some extra help, and the employees are glad to have their jobs. We will have a few people in the building, tech services. There's no way we can move them on a short-term basis, so we'll be looking at how we can do that in the days ahead.
And the books and all the materials, are those, some of those things compromised with mold and water?
No, no. The mold is almost exclusively in the administrative offices, and we had already planned to seal them off. But you have to realize that this was a Sears store in 1947. There was no air conditioning when it was built. There are no weep holes in the wall. So with the water pouring down the walls, gradually the mortar is coming out from between the bricks. And I have been extremely worried to see what I've been able to see and think, well, this building really is losing the mortar out of the bricks, and a lot of the bricks are no longer attached to the wall. So I'm not sure it's fixable, and I would challenge anybody that loves the current building to come and tell us how we can fix these problems. I'm just very sad today, and all I can say to our customers is I hope that you'll visit our other city branches, because we certainly have other wonderful city libraries.
And have you expressed this to the mayor, you wanting an entire new building?
Well, I think that I have, the mayor's new, you know. I think that everybody would love to have a beautiful new downtown library. In fact, John Grisham says you can tell what a city thinks of itself by looking at their library. But, you know, the city has many problems, and this may not be its first priority. Maybe there's another building downtown that could be procured for the library. I do hear there are some empty buildings downtown. We would love to stay downtown. We do not want to move this library out of the downtown area. Too many people in the downtown area use it every day.
Can you say how many people come in the library on a monthly basis? Daily, monthly basis?
I can get that to you.
Commissioner Chaney said something about the library will be closed until these violations are corrected. It sounds like there's nothing that can be done to salvage this building.
Well, I've done everything today to fix most of the issues that we were cited for, including getting the fire system, and we've cleaned out all the closets and done all we can. But I think that there are serious problems in the basement where the sewer pumps need to be fixed or taken apart, or, you know, raw sewage can't be flowing in a building for it to be safe. And I worry about the 911 folks in the basement.
When did you notify the Board of Supervisors about these problems? Or
When
did you,
I
or did
notify-
y'all?
Oh, yes, I have notified the Board of Supervisors all the way along, and the City Council as well. They've known about the mold in the building, they've known about the roof problems, and, you know, this is something that you all have covered very well, because you've come to my library and shown the pictures of the problems.
The issue is that my authority,
Come to the mic, sir.
my authority as fire marshal is limited to fire code, but once I'm involved, then the authority gets a little bigger. We also are responsible for elevators, and we've had some real problems with elevators, and we could have shut the building down a few weeks ago because we repeatedly have told the city of Jackson the elevators have to be fixed. They haven't fixed them. A lot of the decision to make it today instead of tomorrow is based upon the fact that we could have a hurricane headed our way, and I would hate to have the library open and then end up with 6 inches or 8 inches of water on the roof again, and the roof may fall in. So our goal is to get the library fixed. No one else had the authority to close it except the city of Jackson on the library commission, and they just didn't want to do it. Somebody's got to do the job, and we're here to do our job, and I regret that I have to do it, but it's got to be done.
So do you think the building is salvageable, or does it need to be condemned?
I think the building needs to be condemned. When you've got a building that has bricks coming off of it, and I've got Mr. Malley, you want to come up here and talk about that because you've been here before, or you want me to cover it?
It's all covered in the
A
report.
lot of people don't want, it's in the report, but what you're going to find is you've got cracks in the bricks, and once you've got mortar integrity that disappears from the bricks, there's not much you can do except to rebuild the building or to tear it down. And we've just spent over $700,000, I say not we, but the city of Jackson did, to repair the roof. If you look, and you got to remember now, I'm the insurance commissioner, so I know a little bit about roof repair and all the other issues that we get involved with. We could have probably done 3 roofs for what we paid to have that roof done. And that just, it raises questions on the integrity. I can't do anything about the insurance side because that's water on the bridge and everybody's settled, but I certainly can do something about the fire code violations, and that's what I'm doing.
Who did the work on replacing the roof? Do we know?
Yes, I do know, but I will leave that to someone else to answer. Jimmy, it's a company out of Boca Raton, Florida.
BBMK, Boca Raton, Florida.
So and I want to thank y'all for being here. This is a pretty big deal, and I've got a book for you. Sandy, Ray, all of you know Sandy, Chief of Staff, will give you a book. And feel free to call us if you have other questions. We'll try to keep you posted on what we do and kind of where we go and what we know. I don't know what the city of Jackson will do. I haven't talked to the mayor again today, but as far as we're concerned, at 5 o'clock, the library is closed. And I will say that we had to have permission to get in, and once we see the violations, we have no authority to let it turn a blind eye to it. Our authority says you've got to do something, that's what we're doing.
Let me ask you before we wrap up, what about the folks in the EOC in the basement? I mean, if it's not safe, you've got raw sewage in the basement, should those people still be in the building?
They ought to vacate the building, but we've told Hines County EOC, Mr. Wright, we've given him a copy of our report. It's his call what he wants to do, but they're not considered public, and so I'm not trying to close the EOC down. What I'm trying to do is protect the people that go in and out of that library and to protect to some degree of the staff, because when you've got, I went in the building this afternoon for 30 minutes and I came out with a headache and a sinus just stopped up. It's bad. You go down there and go in the building, not the first floor. You got to go down upstairs. It'll make you really wonder.
The EOC has a lot of special equipment. Can they actually move?
If they have a place to put the cell tower, they couldn't move, Jimmy, but it would take several days for all that equipment to be moved. You've got computers, you've got a lot of hardware, and you've even got Geiger counters left over from when that was a fallout shelter in the basement that was still in the room downstairs. You've got mattresses, you've got pillows, you've got things that were left over that are blocking the exit you can't get out of. I took a picture and gave them to one of the people here earlier. It's just an unsafe place, very unsafe.
And I will say one of our employees fell out of the elevator. She was in the elevator and she happened to have an armload of paper towels, thank goodness. And the elevator stopped above the floor. She stepped out and fell on the paper towels. And we've had lots of problems with the public elevator, and I can tell you that the public depends on that elevator because the stairs are blocked because they're wet constantly and have buckets on them. So it's really, I think, a situation that needs some attention. We need the elevator company to come in and make the upgrades. And you know, as libraries, we're not allowed to own a building. I don't own any of my libraries. We have to depend on the cities and counties to have safe and buildings that are kept up to code. So we just.
Who owns it, the city or the county?
What's the function of the library board then?
The library board is to establish the policies of the library. They run the library, they don't run the buildings.
Who owns the building, the city or the county?
The city of Jackson owns the building. And, you know, they were informed about the elevator problems last year when we failed the inspection. And it's going to cost over $10,000 to fix, and it is their expense to take on.
$10,000 to fix the
Elevators.
Easily 10,000. The problem is you've got to have public officials that understand their responsibility to the public. If you're an elected official, you've got a fiduciary responsibility to protect lives and property if it falls within your venue. And you need to do that job. And we've had people that have refused to do that. That's not going to happen on my watch.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Did
Did everybody get a copy? Did everybody get a copy